Welcome back. Well, so keeping our focus on the amendments, perhaps you'll tell us about the process. Does it have to go through the state assemblies? Who knows? Let's talk to Abuja now. Marpa?
Well, the question will be if it's touching on the Constitution. Well, joining us right now is Honorable Yunusa Abubakar, who is a member of the All Progressives Congress and also a member of the House of Representatives. So yes, I'm sure. Which one are you first? It's difficult to say now, but you're welcome to Sunrise Daily.
Thank you, Marvin.
Yeah, we saw the amendments that have been proposed by the House of Representatives, because for a lot of people, even though it has passed in the House, it still needs to go through the Senate and, you know, be signed into law by the President. Can I first of all ask, why is it that we see a need almost every election year to amend our Electoral Act? Shouldn't we have been doing that way before now, or maybe immediately after the last election cycle?
Well, good question. Good morning, Nigerians. You see, democracy or life itself is a process which is being developed by experiences, whether negative or positive. To answer you specifically, elections, as in the case of Nigeria, it comes with a lot of some other excess baggages and bandwagon effects. It is not enough immediately after an election you now see what went wrong and where do we need to appropriate the inappropriations or the inadequacies to be provided. It takes time because of the nature of our laws. The issue of the tribunals to round up cases, pre-election cases, post-election cases. So until such issues are determined by a competent court of jurisdiction, you wouldn't ascertain what went wrong. And it takes a longer time. So it is expedient for us, or for all people who want to do justice to the system, to allow all these existing processes to be concluded for you to ascertain the inadequacies or the misalignment so that you can provide or realign. So that is what is responsible for the delay. And that is why we thought, in this time around, let us do a kind of a comprehensive review or amendment of the laws, such that at least it will bring to bare minimum some of the inherent hitches or obstacles that we have there. Like, for instance, you see this issue of card reader. When it was introduced in the 2015 election, it came with a lot of attendant consequences, so that it is not even tenable in the court of law. It is a kind of a device to verify voters. We are now in an electronic age whereby electronic devices are used, even in banks. You recharge your card, it's electronic kind of system. So when the world is going ahead and we want to compete with the world best practices, we cannot continue going analog. So in that view, we felt the law has to accommodate this electronic accreditation as a process to a seeming kind of electronic.
Which is totally understandable, but the thing is, if you look at the kind of controversies that usually come up before the elections, they sometimes have effect on the elections themselves. So for instance, before 2015, you saw the controversy that greeted the card reader, and how, you know, the parties were either for or against, or they felt that INEC was being pro or against a political party.
You see,
just a moment, because of the fact that it introduced the card reader just, you know, perhaps a year before the elections. And then now we're seeing, you know, the amendments that the House of Reps has just undertaken, causing some controversy in terms of some of the amendments, saying that, you know, are they trying to, you know, usurp the powers of INEC? INEC has already come up with a timetable, and it would seem that some of the amendments are, you know, infringing or, you know, trying to disrupt the timetable that INEC has already come up with.
Good. First, like I tried to interject, we have to look at why are people agitating. This issue is that when you put a process, you have to back it with law. For instance, this card reader was just a kind of initiation of the INEC itself, just to introduce, to improve its own processes, but it's not backed by law. And that is why people are at liberty to accept the process or to reject it. Now we feel if it comes by way of law, as enshrined in the Electoral Act, then people probably will now say, okay, it is a law. Then INEC also will take it upon itself that being a law, they have to really be thorough and pay due diligence to make it functional. Because if something becomes optional, it's a kind of a lackadaisical approach to it. But when it is a kind of a law, you must make sure that
that's agreed. Just a moment. The point is, why is it that we seem to do this almost a year to the year when we're going to do elections?
That's the reason I told you that we have to allow the processes. You see, elections, some of the elections...
Some of the controversies that we have seen brewing as a result of the changes that we bring just a year before elections, shouldn't you be learning any lessons from what happens?
You see, there is no controversy. People just talk trying to be so egocentric, just very, very selfish. First, when you put the nation ahead, the National Assembly has been instituted constitutionally to, you see, amend the laws, existing laws, or even provide laws where it doesn't exist, to make life better, to make governance better. So when we perceive there is a difference, we have to come by way of law. You see, like this order of election that you raised, we try to deepen our own democracy in such a way that whereby the presidential election took place first, then it is like the winner takes all. People are not allowed to exercise their own free conscience.
Honorable member, please, with all due respect, you and I both know that the Nigerians and civil society organizations are not complaining at all about the amendment from the Senate that empowers INEC to use card readers, because that legalizes a process that will help the election be transparent.
Good.
The controversy, sir, has been around the change in the sequence of elections. And on that, I just want to ask you, when you look at the 2019 elections coming ahead, the fundamental shift from having the National Assembly elections first and then having the presidential election in particular, according to the National Commissioner from INEC, approximately 1 month later, there's some speculation out there that that sequencing 1 month ahead, if you have your seat, for example, 1 month ahead of the presidential election, then the group of legislators who are re-elected before 1 month before the president have the power and the incumbency to be able to direct the flow of support to whoever may win the presidential election. What are your thoughts on that?
Number one, that assumption is speculative. That is number one. Two, you see, the fundamental principle of doing that is to allow the Nigerian people in such a way we can even have a system like what happened during the Obama era in the US. The Congress or the Senate and the Congress are being controlled by a different party and the president is from a different party. We want to have a kind of international best practices so that the presidential election will not in any way determine the outflow of some other organs below the presidency. This issue is that, you see, members of the House of Representatives, even when elected, they are not yet constituted. So they have little power. It's just about politicking, canvassing for support, and then allowing a free kind of contest to take place. So if the presidential election comes less, you might have a party that has the majority members of the Congress or Parliament or National Assembly, and yet even somebody outside the party or a different party might emerge the president, and it might brought kind of a equity, justice and fair play. But where the party have the presidency, then everybody start to tilt. Even to the state election, they don't want to be in a opposition party. So by hook or crook, they just follow that hook and sinker. So we thought we should allow a free will. The presidency not become a kind of in suspense. Nobody knows. Is there, people are just, they will be not speculating. So people will now walk, and it will even put everybody on his own toes.